What up, baddies?
What's up, guys?
We are Beauty and Ink.
Yep, so we are a married couple who owns our own business together. I do tattoos.
And I do eyelash extensions, waxing, permanent jewelry. Kind of the whole ball of wax when it comes to beauty stuff. I just don't do hair.
And today we're going to talk about what it's like being a married couple and owning a business together. Some of the things to look out for in partners that are wanting to open a business together. And some of the things we do to actually help that process and to continue a healthy relationship in business.
So let's get started. And if you guys are going to want a part 2 because we don't touch everything, then let us know. This is our first episode, so.
Yeah, so let's dive right into things and talk about how we got started and a little bit about our backstory.
Well, we've known each other forever, almost 20 years. Mm. We met in middle school. I didn't even know I liked girls until I saw Frankie, and then it was over with. So we literally just met in the hallway, and a mutual friend was like, oh, this is Becca, this is Frankie. Like, it was literally the most casual. Like, she didn't think anything of it. We didn't think anything of it. And then next thing you know, like, we're head over heels for each other.
I would say maybe it was casual for you, because for me, I thought I saw an angel walking through the hallways, and I was immediately just starstruck over this chick the second I saw her. So when she gave me a note that she had a crush on me, I thought I won the lottery. So.
Oh, my gosh. So we definitely... we were like 11 years old. It was like seventh grade. Yeah. So we grew up together. Like, we have been through all kinds of ups, downs, highs, lows, and we literally grew up together. We have literally watched each other grow into the people that we are. Mm-hmm. And much like most middle school and high school relationships, we did have a period after high school where we did not talk for a while. Mm-hmm. And then Miss Frankie decided to just slide a little message in my DMs.
Slide into the DMs
just real quick. And we just kind of picked up where we left off. Like, at first it was very just like casual. I mean, on my end it was casual. I feel like you had different intentions.
Oh, yeah, no, I was very methodical with everything. I had sent her a fucking novel of a message, and then I deleted it right away because I was too scared, and then immediately she sends me a message back and was like, hey, what's up? What'd you send me? And I'm like...
Because, of course, it says, like, Frankie deleted a message, and I'm like, I saw you deleted a message. What's going on? What's up? And, yeah, so totally called her out because I have no problem...
Yeah.
Calling a bitch out if I'm like, that seems weird. And we just kept it rolling. We were talking and being friends. And then very quickly I realized, like, oh my God. Yep. And of course I never got over you. But I mean, I was like, there's no way she likes me still after all this time. Like, so much has changed. I moved out of Minnesota and moved to Nebraska. Like, there were so many things that had changed in the, like, 8 years that we had stopped talking that I was like, there is no way you still like me. I'm totally Delulu. I like you, and that's crazy. Like, this is not a Hallmark movie, you know? And, of course...
Yeah, no, I never got over you. This is definitely a Hallmark movie, rom-com, because you were definitely the one that got away, at least for me. So, when we rekindled, it was almost like I had gotten back that missing piece that I had lost over the years. So, I had felt a lot of completion even just talking to you and having you back in my life, almost like order has been restored in the universe. So... definitely a Hallmark movie with a very happy ending.
Our happy ending has not... we're not at the end. It's a very happy story.
Yes,
we are not at the
story.
end. We have so much more to do and so much more to come. But, like, I'm very happy with where we're at and that we have rekindled. And honestly, like, after we realized we were going to be in a relationship, it was pretty much a no-brainer that... with the business that I had established down here, I was kind of, like, on the fence. Like, am I going to move to Minnesota and, like... change up my life and come live with you because you owned a house and you had a business, or were you going to come down here? And I was very like, well, I came from Minnesota. That's where my dad's family is. And it just kind of made sense for me to come to Minnesota. And then I got a letter in the mail that I was voted via just Google reviews, no paid anything, didn't pay for people to vote or sign up for this or anything like that. I got a thing in the mail that said I was voted the best beauty salon in Northeast Omaha, Northwest Omaha. It's hanging on the wall. I don't know what it says. I was voted the best beauty salon based on Google reviews via Google. And I got that while I was on the phone with her, like a couple days after making the decision of coming to Minnesota, and sending a couple emails like to my apartment complex, my landlord here. And I got that, and I was like, skirt, like pumped the brakes so fast, like slammed on the brakes, actually, no pumping of the brakes, and was like, I can't leave what I built here. And she was like, well, then I'll move, you know, I'll sell my house, I'll have this, like, we'll just start over. And so just like that, she was moving down here, and it was not easy.
No. It was very scary. It was very scary.
Because you did own a business, and you did own a house. Yes. So we did have to sell your house, and we did have to close up your business,
which was very stressful because I had to cram in months and months of clients into a very short period of time to satisfy all of my clientele. But, you know, obviously it was for the best, not only for our love life, but because Minneapolis, so that's where I'm from, is Minneapolis, Minnesota, and it's very oversaturated with tattooers, versus Omaha. I had the opportunity to really establish myself. There's not a lot of people in Omaha, Nebraska that specialize in the fine line realism that I specialize in, right? So it was all around a great move, and it was a really great team building exercise, I feel like.
It challenges you.
It really does.
And I feel like you hadn't been challenged in a while.
No.
You were very complacent with where you were at and everything that you had. And I was like, let me shake that up a little bit, because I love to be like, what's next? What are we doing? What's new? Like, let's do the next big thing. So I think it challenged the hell out of you to be like, we're going to change everything. And
well, and there's that saying that comfort and complacency is where success goes to die, right? I mean, because like when you get comfortable with something, you don't want to change it. You're comfy, you're cozy, you're warm, you're all cuddly, and you know, breaking out of that is scary and it's uncomfortable, but ultimately it leads to the biggest growth and the biggest areas of your life where you can succeed on a bigger scale. So
I have said for a long time, that's been one of my like favorite catchphrases almost, is like, if you're complacent and you're comfortable, like that's the opposite of growth. As much as you can sit there and you can be there for a while, when you have to get out of your comfort zone and you have to be uncomfortable in order to grow. We have to think of it as like a snake shedding its skin, or a snake or an iguana or whatever. They get all itchy and like it's very uncomfortable. They're rubbing on everything and they're like, I freaking hate this.
Yeah.
But then they come out brand new, much like a butterfly in its little cocoon, and it's all crammed in there, or a caterpillar, I guess, before it's even a butterfly. Right. So that's definitely what I've said that for a long time about comfort versus growth. And you can have both, but you can't have them both at the same time. So,
right. And I think that it played a big role in things, in easing a lot of my anxieties, having you as my partner to, you know, not only help me in, you know, the business aspect, but also with my own anxieties. Just you as a partner are very comforting and very supportive with my own mental illness and my own anxiety and things, because, you know, just like a caterpillar, you know, there is that stage where they're in the cocoon and they're in the goop, you know what I mean? And that goop is, well, I mean, they are. They're in the goop, and it's confusing, it's dark, it's gooey, it's gross, you don't like it. But it's all a process, you know what I mean? And then eventually you can sprout out and become a butterfly and flap your beautiful wings.
So that's kind of how, like, to give, like, the best Spark Notes version of 20 years in less than 10 minutes that we can, that's kind of how we, like, met, what happened kind of in the middle of all of that, and how we got where we're at now. And not to say that it wasn't beautiful and it wasn't fantastic and magical and great, but we have not had just a linear, beautiful, perfect 20 years. There have been a bunch of ups and downs, of high highs and very low lows. So, and some of them we weren't exactly hand in hand, side by side for, but we always, unfortunately, kept an eye on one another from a distance.
I was playing a little bit of CIA stalker on your social media, just making sure everything was good.
So it was kind of a no-brainer for us to go into business together, though, because of you moving down here, because I already had a space, my studio. For those of you that have never been inside of Wicked Beauty, I have 3 rooms, and after my previous business partner, one of my best friends, had left the practice to do something that was much more practical for her lifestyle and her family, I had all this space to myself. And while I didn't mind that, I also didn't need all of that. So when she was moving here, I was like, I have the space. You may as well come and just be in here, and I'm good. I don't need anything from you while you're figuring this out. Let's just do the damn thing. So it was literally a no-brainer. It was actually, we were just talking about this before we started. It's been a little bit more of a culture shock for us to be like, oh my God, we're finally married.
Yeah.
Opposed to like being like, oh, we're in business together. Like, it's like, because of the foundation that we have as being friends and meeting in school and all of the things that we've had to grow and learn, and literal like school projects that we've had to do together as partners outside of being relationship partners, we already kind of knew how to like do this part together.
Right.
And like, even as kids, like there would be days on end where we would like live together. Granted, it would be at your mom's house or at my parents' house, so we're not like adults. But like, we spent copious amounts of time together where it wasn't weird for us to move in together, to live together, to own a business. Like, none of that is weird. It's more like, oh wow, holy shit. Like, sometimes we literally are like, we'll be hit with this moment of like, whoa, we did it. You know what I mean? Like, our little baby selves would be so enamored with the fact that we finally are married. We finally did all the things that, well, not all, because we have so much more to come and so many more things already cooking in the pot. But we have done so many things that we said we were going to do when we were kids. And that's kind of what trips us up more than like owning a business together. I feel like
yeah, because, you know, because we had that foundation of working together on small things like, you know, school projects and whatnot, I feel like us owning a business together is almost just an adult version of that, right? So it's us collaborating on different things and working on projects together versus, you know, like she said, you know, there are days where I just look at her and I'm like, oh my God, we're married. Like, that's
I'm pretty sure I said that to you last
years.
night. I was literally like, you're my wife.
Yeah.
Like, but at no point have we been like, oh my gosh, we own a business together. Like, we really haven't had like a trip up moment when it comes to living together. Or I feel like when you first moved here, and still sometimes I'll correct you in regards to like the house or like the kitchen or random things where you'll be like, your house, or do you have brown sugar, or whatever it'll be, and I'll be like, Frankie, this is your house, baby, like, we have brown sugar in the cabinet. Like, it'll be little things like that, but not once like has it been like that with the business, like where we've had a weirdness. It just flowed. Like, I didn't even hesitate. I was like, you're not gonna rent from me, I'm not gonna put up a contract, I'm going to reach out to my landlord and get you added onto the lease. Because I was like, we're going to get married. Like, we may as well own the whole thing together. So it hasn't really, this has been the most seamless part of our whole journey so far.
I agree, for sure. So, I mean, with that, going into the differences between, like, relationship and business attire, you know, for you, I guess, what has been the biggest differences between at-home life versus business life with working with me? And, you know, do you get burnt out being in my presence? Because I'm a big personality. So.
Oh, God. I owned a business. Like I said, I owned my business with one of my best friends prior to this. So it's so funny because when you first moved here, people would be like, oh, is it weird having someone in here? And I'm like, well, no, and Taylor and I used to share a room together doing the exact same service. You know what I mean? So like, no, it's really not weird having you in here. I actually am happier and much more like energetic and excited on the days that you are here. But then people will be like, oh, is it weird when she's not here? And I'm like, no, because there were plenty of days where Taylor wasn't here and I was here for a full 8 hour. And then when Taylor left, I wasn't by myself either. Like, I was by myself, but I wasn't, because with the services we do, we service people. So it's not like we're by ourselves anyways. And then the days that we are here together, we feel each other's energy and we know that we're in the building, but we're not like with each other because we're working. So like, it'll be fun on our lunch break to like sit down and have lunch together, or like I'll walk in while she's tattooing someone and take a couple pics or videos for her Instagram. But like, there isn't like, we're not constantly up under each other's foot either. So I feel like that helps, like, unlike different scenarios of businesses that you could own with somebody, we're not so up under each other. We're like, no, I don't feel like I get burnt out working with you. I don't feel like I get burnt out being around you, even more so the days that you're not here. I'm like, oh, I get to go home and I get to see Babe now. Or when we get off after working a full shift together, I'm like, oh my gosh, we get to spend time and like talk about what our day looks like. You can show me the pictures of your finished tattoo. I can show you pictures of the lashes that I have done for the day, or talk to you about something that my client and I talked about that I'm like, oh my gosh, they just told me about the show. We totally have to watch, you know? So, no, it doesn't, I don't feel like I get burnt out being around you. I don't think that there's like a point where I feel like I need to take time for just myself.
Yeah.
How do you feel about, like, do you feel like you get burnt out being here? How does how does all of the work life balance with your partner work for you?
Yeah, so for me, I feel like, you know, I don't get burnt out being in your presence at all. There are actually a lot of days where if we're not working together, I miss you. You know what I mean? So even the slight...
They're going to be like, God, these clingy lesbians.
Well, you know, and I feel like that does show a lot in the fact that our relationship is fundamentally based on that friendship, right?
Yeah.
Because if you... you know, and every couple is different, obviously, but if you are someone that, you know, is looking to work with your spouse, you do have to ask that, you know, do you have that fundamental basis in friendship where you are excited to tell your partner pretty much everything under the sun, like the smallest little things, because that's going to keep everything lively and that's going to keep everything fresh and new, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I get really excited after a day of tattooing where the second that I'm done with the tattoo, I'm like, I want to show Babe what I just did. Let's do all this stuff. You know, or if I have a really cool drawing. I mean, there was just a day that I was up here drawing at the front desk, and the second that I was done, you're the first person I wanted to show. So for me, I don't get burnt out with you at all because you are my best friend, you know, as well as my wife. So, you know, I don't get burnt out with my friends, and I don't get burnt out with you.
But I feel like if you're not already best friends with your partner, you probably shouldn't be considering doing a business like this. And we'll touch on more of like the do's, the don'ts, the good time to decide to be in a business with your partner. But I feel like that is a good thing to like mention while we're talking about that, is if you and your partner don't get along 24/7, and trust, we don't get along 24/7, but we get along 23/6.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, we also, like I said, have that foundation of being like we said, we have that foundation of being like best friends, where like we constantly want to tell each other everything and like show each other everything. Like if you don't have that, that's a point to be like, do I want to work with this person? Because you know what I mean? If you want things that are just for yourself, maybe not a good person to open a business with. So I also would like to, before we like move on too much into that category, what do you feel like keeps us from getting burnt out from each other and working together? And how do we kind of like, you and I personally, how do we keep business? How do we keep home? And how do we not let any conflict that happened at home in our personal life affect our business stuff and vice versa?
That's a good question. So I think that fundamentally it's based off respect and communication, you know? So, you know, we do have times in our relationship where it's no business talk time, where we're only talking about our relationship, or, you know, where we have like that personal intimate time versus time set aside, you know. So her and I, we actually have one day a week that we specifically set for business time. That way it doesn't trickle into our everyday, you know, atmosphere. But as far as like conflict resolution in our relationship, like I said, I feel like it fundamentally is based on respect and based off of that communication, right? Because
100%.
You and I, even when we do get into small little bickering moments, because her and I don't really fight, you know, thankfully we're in a very healthy relationship, and
which is new for both of us.
Very new for the both of us.
I feel like that's the hardest thing to navigate in not just business but in our relationship as a whole, is having somebody who supports us so much. And like, while I have phenomenal friends, and my previous business partner was phenomenal and we supported each other, I have never had such a healthy and respectful, supportive relationship and something to go home to. So that is something that we both are trying to navigate, is the respect and the health that we offer each other. We're like, as soon as there's a bicker, like I feel like the worst part of our bicker is that our fight or flight kicks in.
Yes.
And we are automatically like triggered thinking that we're about to go to war.
Yes.
And that's no longer the case.
Right.
Because of the relationship that we have never had with our exes in previous relationships.
Right.
So I think that's something that like is challenging for us, is to recognize like it's not bad over here. We're safe over here. It's okay to have tough conversations and challenging topics get brought up.
Right, because at the end of the day, we're not trying to attack one another, which is something that I think that both of us are trying to get used to, because, you know, any sort of conflict that arose in our past relationships, you know, like you said, it was like we were going to war, and you know, even the smallest little bicker, you know, I feel like we both are like, are you okay? Are you mad? Are you going to freak out? Blah, blah, blah. And neither one of us are doing that. It's all just very like, no, how do you feel? Well, this is how I feel. Like, how can we move forward from this? It's very healthy to the point where it's a foreign language, right? So
100%.
we're both just trying to kind of learn how to speak the language of healthy relationship, which is a fucking great problem to have. I don't think that a lot of people are faced with that, you know what I mean? So it's definitely a blessing. But, you know, going back to your original question, like I said, I feel like, you know, especially even if you're not going to work with your partner and on a business level, right? Communication and respect is key, and showing how your partner responds to conflict and that conflict resolution can say a lot about how they respect you as a person, right? Because if they're immediately, you know, going at it, just wanting you to see their point, you know, that's not going to be very productive, because I feel like you and I are very focused on, well, what does the other person think? What does the other person feel? How can I meet you in the middle? You know what I mean?
What can I do better for you? We literally ask each other that. Like, we don't have a set day that we ask each other, like, is there something I could do better for you? Is there more that you need from me as a partner? But we ask that on a very frequent basis, like multiple times a week, just as like a check-in of like, how are you doing? What do you need more? How are we doing? And I feel like that kind of trickles into how we deal with conflict and how we communicate so that things get resolved in the home and stay home-based versus business. And we haven't really had anything come up business-wise yet that like, and I say yet because I knock on wood, man. I know there'll be a day where we're arguing about the paint color for something, but like it truly is like a matter of, you also can't sweep those things under the rug. You really have to deal with those situations now. And that goes for any relationship, not just when you're in a business partnership with your partner, but we really, like, if we have to take 10, 15, an hour to like decompress or regulate our own emotions so that it doesn't get heated, thank you, therapy, we definitely do that, but we come back to it. We won't go to bed angry. We won't let each other like stew on this for a day, 2 days, a week, and then bring it back up or throw it back in each other's face. If we have come to a resolution, it's done, it's over with, because it very quickly could turn into something that happened in the home, turns around and turns into something that gets brought into work. We've all been in that horrible relationship where 6 months later they throw something in your face that happened 6 months ago because it never got resolved. It just got swept under the rug. You both just said, fine, screw it, we're not going to deal with this anymore. And we don't do that.
No, we don't. In no way do we weaponize each other's emotions or even each other's mistakes in the relationship, right? Like, if I make a mistake in something, or if I make a mistake in communication, there's never a time where she's like, well, 6 months ago you did this, you know what I mean? Because when something is resolved and it's resolved, we move on. And if something arises that's similar, it's like, hey, this has been brought up in the past. What can we do to better it? What did we try before that maybe didn't work? And then we can come to a solution.
A game plan.
Yeah. And I think that's the biggest piece of it, right? Is just, like I said, having that respect, because...
And communication.
Communication, yeah. But I feel like you and I both are just really focused on trying to better each other as partners, right? I feel like you and I, we almost have this cute little competition where we're trying to like outdo each other, you know what I mean? Where it's like, you know, oh, well, how can I help her do this? How can she help me do that? Blah, 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 blah. Because
it's like we're trying to like, we're like friendly competition of like who can like make more money, have more clients, have the next best idea, but also like a friendly competition of like, how can I help her more than she's helping me? Like, it's like such a like, I want to say double-edged sword, but like it's not pointy. It's like a double-sided feather, because like we're both like, how can I do better for her, but how can I do better than her for our relationship also. Like, it's just kind of like, and I say friendly competition because I don't see it as like, oh, I have to make more money than her, or I'm demasculated. You know what I mean? Like, it's very like, what can we do? It's all about, even when I'm doing something, I'm thinking about how it's going to benefit us as a couple.
Absolutely.
And I feel like that's kind of into another talking point that we have jotted down in our little notes over here, is we are very much there for each other in our high highs and our low lows, and we're very much there to either pick each other up or support each other in those high highs. Like, it's very, again, that goes with the respect and the communication, which I feel like is connecting all the little dots of our episode today. That is the biggest thing when it comes to not just a partnership where you own a business together, but a relationship in general, where it's just, you've got to have that respect and that communication so that you can have that healthy foundation of a relationship.
Yeah, and going with that, as far as celebrating each other's wins and sticking together during each other's losses, we don't have like an aspect of criticism in our relationship either, where I feel like, at least in my past relationships, criticism was a really big issue. You know what I mean? Especially in those losses. So if you're someone who's watching who maybe is experiencing a partner who you feel is criticizing you, maybe address that, because that's something that can develop into something a lot bigger and problematic later on. Because when life does life, and it will happen, regardless if it's a business or a house or family, whatever the case may be, there's going to be ups and downs in life, and in those low points, if you go to war with your partner, that's not gonna help either of you. That's not gonna help the solution. That's the time to band together and to really buckle down as a team and to be supportive of one another, instead of pointing the finger and say, well, we're in this situation because of you, or we're in this situation because of me. You know what I mean? Because you and I feel like
we hold each other accountable before it even gets to the point of needing to criticize someone for, well, we're here because you said da 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 and then did blah 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 blah. Like, instead, we're very good about holding each other accountable in the moment of like, things are simmering before it boils over. And I think that helps us a lot too when it comes to arguments and problematic situations, where we can kind of be like, hey, this is what was said previously. I don't think we're sticking to that. Like, we're really good about just holding each other accountable so that it doesn't get to that point of crumbling to having, which you don't have to criticize your partner, but I feel like that's often where it comes from, is a point of, you feel like you're let down by your partner, or your partner's letting themselves down because nobody was holding each other accountable, whether that's you're not holding yourself accountable, or you don't have a partner who feels safe enough to hold you accountable. Because I feel like that's a huge thing, is I know that I can hold you accountable without it coming back and being an argument, which previously has not been the case for either one of us. Where I know for you and for myself in previous relationships, holding the other person accountable turns into a whole
and I feel like a lot of that also comes with like a control aspect dynamic of things, right? And like almost a power play in relationships, where holding each other accountable can turn toxic, because it can come from a point of trying to control the other person, as opposed to maybe trying to just redirect the other person into a healthier form of frame. You know what I mean? Because it's also the way that we bring it up to each other, because we don't bring it up as far as like, you should or shouldn't do this. It's more like a suggestive, loving way of like, hey, we maybe agreed that we had this goal in mind. Do you think that this decision fits that ideal goal?
Exactly.
And it's not so much like I said, like criticizing or scrutinizing or even trying to control the other person's actions, because at the end of the day, you and I are going to do whatever we're going to do, right? But it's a matter of that we collaborate as a team, because we do have these goals and we do have this plan. And when we do hold each other accountable, like I said, it is brought up in a way that is not only respectful, but there's like it's not a control based, you know what I mean? It's all just very suggestive and very loving and very supportive, which I feel like differs from a lot of other toxic relationships that maybe you and I have been in. Because, in any relationship, there is, I feel like, that time where your partner is going to take the lead versus you're going to take the lead. And you need to be able to kind of switch up depending upon, what situation presents itself.
Yeah. Much to your point of like us having like holding each other accountable when it comes to goals and things, I feel like a lot of our goals usually go hand in hand with like not just my personal goals, but also a goal that goes like for us as a couple. Like I was saying earlier, like anything that I'm thinking of doing usually is also connected to how is this going to benefit us as a relationship. So as much as we would be like, oh, well, for example, like, because I feel like this is something that so many people can relate to, especially right now in the state of the economy in the United States, is I need to save money in as many ways as possible. Well, you and I have so many goals. We're not going to talk about those today, that we want to check off, and things that we have planned and brewing in the pot that, like, if I'm sitting here going, how can I cut spending in A, B, or C? I'm also knowing that that is going to put more money in our pot for these other goals that we have brewing on the back burner right now for us later. So I feel like so many of our goals, business, personal, mental health, physical health, so many of those things tie into how can this benefit us later. Like even just the smallest thing of like getting, for me personally, wanting to get back into the gym, do more meal prepping, get healthier. Immediately I can connect that to, on a superficial level, you and I talking about how we wanted to do the marathon in Zion National Park in next spring, in spring of 27. But that also connects to being healthy and being able to live a long, happy life with you. That also connects to being able to get pregnant and have kids. You know what I mean? So all of those things connect so quickly in my brain. It's literally like ping, 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 ping. Like it just pops so many things when I think of a goal for myself as goals for you and I. And I feel like that's a way to also really keep ourselves accountable without having to point at the other person and be like, I need you to hold yourself accountable in this goal, because I know that I can hold myself accountable a lot better when it intertwines with my people, whether that's my friends, my family, or you. Being able to look at it not just for why it's going to benefit me, because I'm one of those people that will definitely put myself on the back burner for my people. And it's easier for me to look at that goal and be like, oh, well, I want to do this for myself because it's going to affect us as a couple in a better format later. So I feel like that that is a big piece, and I feel like that just kind of...
Yeah. For sure. And, you know, I think also a big part of that is just being on the same page with your partner as far as, like, what you want in life and what your goals are together, right? Because if your goals aren't aligning, there's no way that you guys are going to be able to hold each other accountable with certain things without it feeling more of, like, a control-based issue.
Well, and I feel like when we got back together, like, back to our very first topic of, like, when you moved here and everything felt like so much of a no-brainer, that's because so many of our goals aligned right off the rip. But that's because you and I have always kind of been intertwined and, like, kind of, I always say this all the time, like, our souls are cut from the exact same cloth, and not many people, like, can say that about their partner, you know what I mean? And I feel like we are so similar in so many ways, especially when it comes to how goal-oriented we are. Because when I started telling you about my 5-year plan for Wicked Beauty and all the things that I don't want to talk about on the podcast quite yet, you were like, holy shit. You were like, those are so on brand to everything that I have thought and said and planned out for myself. And so we just kind of went... and blended all of our goals together without even having to think about it or, like, write anything down, or, like, nobody really had to compromise. I feel like that's another really beneficial part of how we flow, because we are so like-minded. When we have to compromise, it's like I have to take 25% off and you have to take 25% off. There's meeting 50-50 in the middle, because we're both already so close to the middle that it's like, okay, we'll just give up this much so we can be this much closer in our, you know, there's not really a whole lot of give and take, because we're so close to where we're at already.
Yeah, and I feel like that goes with the saying that, you know, I heard...
Did you not see that fuzz in your eyeball?
I want to keep that in there.
I've been seeing that fuzz in your eyeball since the second we started recording, but then, like, I watched the whole thing diagonally across your eye, and I was like, I gotta get that. Like, it's gotta go.
She watches out for me in the best of ways. But, you know, going into the you know, being, you know, together and goal-oriented with your partner, it reminds me of an old saying that my parents told me a lot about being evenly yoked, right? Because, and that saying comes from, you know, having, you know, two horses that are pulling the same cart, right? If one's facing this way, one's facing this way, you guys aren't going to get anywhere, right? Mm-hmm. Like, you have to be facing the same direction and be evenly pulling the same amount of weight to continue forward and to continue on this goal. And I feel like, unfortunately, so many couples, you know, even though there is a lot of love and there is a lot of commitment, maybe their goals just don't quite align and their lifestyles don't quite align. So I feel like that's what makes our foundation so much different and so unique and so successful, is the fact that we do have all of these things that we can collaborate on, and all of these things that we agree upon on where the direction on which we want our life to go, and furthermore the steps that we need to take to get there, right?
Like, what's so crazy about like evenly yoked is I was actually in my last relationship, I actually had a client who, she's one of my favorite top tier best clients. She's been with me literally since I moved to Omaha, so she's been with me since the beginning of my journey here. She had came to me and she was like, I can tell like you're not happy, ABC. She gave me a whole spiel. Not only did she like put me in check for a whole hour, she stayed for almost an hour and a half after her appointment because she was my last client. And somewhere along that conversation, she said something about how my current partner was not evenly yoked to me, and that I need somebody like that. She's like, your ex-wife was not like that. This girl you're with right now, she's not like that, and you need somebody who's evenly yoked and somebody who is really going to come, and that partner also has the whole dining room table, the whole meal. You're looking at people that are only pulling up with a napkin and a dinner roll, and you cooked a whole meal and you have the whole, you know what I'm saying? Like, mm-hmm. And I remember calling you and I was so like, just ranting, not in a negative way, but just like debriefing about this conversation that I had with this client and how it was kind of turning a light bulb on in my head, because the switch was already kind of flickering. But then I was like, oh my God, I just had this eye-opening conversation with this client, and I'm going to go home and have this conversation with my partner. And you literally, I didn't even say anything about evenly yoked, equally yoked, nothing about yokes. And you literally, you were like, there's this quote about how your partner will be equally yoked to you. And I was like, holy shit, because my client had just said that exact same quote to me. And the whole like equally yoked thing has stuck with me since, because I'm like, I don't know what it is about eggs, but yeah, you and your partner need to be the same size egg. Like, holy crap. Because truly, if you feel like you provide so much in your relationship and your partner barely does anything, that's not going to be a good foundation for your relationship. That relationship is probably going to have a lot of rocky areas. You're probably going to have a lot of arguments and disagreements because you feel like you're cooking, you're cleaning, you're taking care of the kids, you're doing pickup, you're doing drop off, you're also going to work, you're taking care of yourself, you're also now taking care of your partner, and your partner just has to show up, go to work, come home, and he knows that he or she knows you're going to take care of everything. You know, so it's not beneficial, right, to be with somebody who's not providing the same amount that you are. Yes. Because at some point one of you is going to feel resentment, and whether that's because you feel like you're being criticized because somebody is constantly doing more for the relationship and constantly taking care of you, almost like that parental and child kind of relationship, or you're going to resent your partner because you feel like you're doing more than your partner is. So I feel like it's definitely you definitely have to be providing the same amount. You definitely have to be equally yoked in your relationship. And I think that's one of those red flags where if you feel like you're providing more, it's not a good idea to be in business with your partner.
Because there are unfortunate circumstances, I feel like, where takers will wind up attaching themselves to givers, right? And if that is a situation that you find yourself in, you know, in no way is that going to work out in a business aspect, because you do need to have that 50-50. You know, you can't even have a 75-25 split, because, you know what I mean? That's going to be like, well, what the heck? Like, I'm doing this for the business, and, you know, again, you're just kind of showing up and reaping the benefits. You know what I mean? And going with that too, being in business with you, it is something that we introduce ourselves together as we own Wicked Beauty, as opposed to one of us is the face of it and then the other is the manual labor of it.
I'll even hear you, like, when you take a new client for an appointment, you'll be like, I will hear you say my wife more than I hear you say me. Yeah. Because I feel like it's, the client knows that you are here, you are providing that, but you are so proud and so quick to just be like, my wife also owns this with me. My wife is in there doing this. And that's just, not that you have to give more to your partner than you give to yourself.
Right.
But especially, like, you've got to give as much to your partner as you're giving to yourself. Yes, you do have to make sure that you are taking care of yourself first, so that you can provide for your family or your relationship, but you can't just take, and just give a little and expect your relationship to run smoothly. I hear you, like I said, I hear you all the time say, we own this. When I moved here, my wife moved me in here. Like, you are very, very good about talking about us as a team and how we work together, not just you versus me.
Well, and ditto with you. I mean, I feel like even when we go out to eat or something and you notice somebody with tattoos, you introduced me as the co-owner of Wicked Beauty. You know what I mean? Even though you started the foundation of Wicked, you're like, well, me and my wife own Wicked Beauty together. You know what I mean? So I think that goes back into sharing the wins with each other. Because if you are looking to start a business with your partner, that is something to take into consideration, is just evaluating how much one gives at home versus, how much one takes at home, because that's directly going to translate into what it looks like in your business, right? So, for even a small example, going back to, the fact that her and I almost try to outdo each other, I feel like even on days off, right? Each one of us is like racing to see who can get the dishes done first, you know what I mean? Because it's like we want to make sure that the other person feels stable and has a clean environment, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, the other day I literally was like, okay, run to the store, pick up one thing. And I was like, I'm going to do this, this, and this. And when you get home, we'll be able to meet up with our friend. And we're big, like, fisher women. And I was like, we'll go fishing right afterwards. And she was like, no, you do that and that. And when I come home with said items, I will start the laundry or whatever it was. And I was like, I will have all of this done before you even get home. And then it was like a thing for me where I was like, I said I was going to have this done when she got home. And so then I was like, boom, 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 boom. And she comes home and she's like, oh my gosh, everything's done. And I was like, told you.
Which is something that, I'm not used to, you know what I mean? In my past relationships, I feel like I was almost a parental figure that, not only was I like the breadwinner, you know what I mean? But, coming home, I would be the person who'd have to clean, who'd have to cook, who'd have to do all these things, and I'd be racing to do all these things, while my partner gets to take it easy and doom scroll on TikTok.
I think a lot of people who have been in toxic relationships are, they're going to be feeling this real hard as far as like, oh my gosh, yeah, I used to be that person. I used to provide all of this. I used to do all of this. And I was still criticized. It was still wrong. I was still never doing enough. And then, of course, when you point at your partner and you're like, hey, I worked all day. You didn't have to work today. Or you don't have a job at all. Whatever that situation is. I came home. I did this. You didn't do anything all day in regards to the house, even though you weren't working. Is there any way you can help me? And then it turns into World War III. That's just, I feel like so many people are going to be able to relate to what we're saying in those aspects, because unfortunately, I feel like so many individuals are just, I don't know why it feels like so many more people have been involved or been through toxic, awful relationships, and they're trying to navigate how to like not be in that cycle anymore.
Yeah.
And I feel like that just kind of comes down to, like we said, kind of relating to what we said about goals. As much as my goals involve us as a relationship, they're also for me, So I feel like that's kind of where, like, you've got to take it all the way back to putting yourself first. Like I said, you can't do anything for your relationship or for your partner until you've taken care of yourself. Right. And if you feel like you don't have time to take care of yourself,
that's something that needs to be addressed sooner than later, in my opinion. And, going with that too is I feel like, how much does your partner actually respect you? You know, if you're having these conversations of, hey, I feel like I'm pulling more weight than you, or hey, I feel overwhelmed with X, Y, and Z, I feel like the way that your partner responds is going to be really revealing as to how much they respect you, as well as how much they respect themselves.
Yeah.
You know, and I feel like that's a huge fundamental piece that's lacking in a lot of relationships today, is that respect for not only your relationship, your partner, but also yourself. Because, you know, there are things about self-love that do trickle into a relationship, even with our relationship, right? So I'm someone who struggles a lot with self-love, and taking care of myself and my own mental illness, and I'm someone who always is seeking external validation, right? And that's something that, you know, Becca really helps me with, right? Because, you know, there are times where it's like, hey, I love you very much. What's something that you did for yourself to make yourself feel good, so maybe you're not seeking that out through me? You know what I mean? Because that's something too to take into consideration, is how much does your partner actually contribute to building your character? Not just your love, not just your validation, not just your whatever, but how much do they help you grow as an individual person? Because I feel like even just since you and I, you know, have been together in these last 9 months, you know, there's been so much self-love and self-growth that you have helped me with, you know, even just recently, you know, with my own anxiety, you know, taking into consideration, you know, I'm not in danger, I'm just anxious. My partner isn't mad at me, you know, and we joke a lot too, because like I said, I'm someone who seeks out a lot of validation. You know, just knowing that if she is upset with something, that is something that she will bring to the table, and I need to trust that, you know, and it comes with a lot of trust, I feel like, that a lot of people don't have. As far as, you know, bringing up issues and things. So a lot of people do want to sweep it under the rug because it's easier, right? It's easier to just be like, no, everything's fine. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to have those hard conversations.
And that's the thing. Having a healthy relationship isn't easy. It challenges you. And like I said, like, she needs to be challenged from time to time. And
sure do.
So do I, especially in this particular realm. So I feel like that's much like the journey of healing, right? People are so like, oh, it's so easy, it's so beautiful, and none of
that's a crock of bull.
Anything that involves healing or healthy, I think of a healthy relationship, healing your mental, healing your emotional. It is the exact same as going to the gym and healing your physical. It sucks, and you really have to hype yourself up to want to do it. To lift harder, to lift stronger, to do more reps, to run the extra mile. You really have to do that in a healthy relationship as well. It's all the same. And I just feel like, again, our foundation of, like you said, respect and communication really ties into all of that, because we're able to be like, hey, I need XYZ from you in this moment. And it really helps just kind of move us into that next mile, help us lift that next step. I'm gonna look at our notes and see what we haven't touched on that we wanted to talk about. What was your first impression of working together or my professionalism in the business?
My first impression of you in a business aspect was, if I'm being completely honest, was holy shit, she grew up. You know, because, you know, prior to this, the most that we did as far as collaboration on larger projects was school-based, right? It'd be silly projects that we would have to do for homework, right? So seeing how you take initiative and how organized and type A you are, and just, you know, getting it done with all of the adult things, I was like, I felt this this wonderful sense of pride for you as a person, because I was like, God, she really just blossomed into this whole ass adult, huh? Like, what happened to the spicy little teenager that I used to know?
I'm still spicy. I'm just an adult who owns a business now. I feel the same way, though, because I remember, like, in one of my social media stalking journeys, I first stumbled across the fact that you were a tattoo artist. And at that point, like, not even knowing that you owned your own studio, because I believe that was pretty recent before
within a year,
yeah, before we started talking again. But even just like being a tattoo artist, you still have to like promote yourself. You still have to do good work. You still have to deal with clients. You still have to do your drawing. You still have to execute the art. That is such a huge, like, I don't know, for me, especially in the relationships I had been in since you and I were together, that was already so attractive to me on so many different levels, that you not only had your shit together, you were business motivated, you were in the same umbrella of what I do as an entrepreneur in the beauty industry. Because even while you're working under somebody else in the community, you're still an entrepreneur. It's still like feast or famine. It's still, you're the only way that you're getting clients in the door. Your work will equal word of mouth, client reviews, client recommendations, all of that. That's going to build your portfolio, all of that. So I, right off the rip, was like, whoa, she did the damn thing, you know? So, and I knew you were still going to be the same smart ass motherfucker that you are today. But again, you just, and that's another thing. You were always so talented and so creative. And I mean, I was there. I was your first tattoo client at 14, 15 years old with a little Amazon tattoo gun.
We don't talk about Bruno.
But, so I knew that you were going to do something creative. So it was literally like mind blowing. But not, you know what I mean? It's like when you know something is like gonna happen, I knew that you were always gonna do something creative, artsy, just something so you. But seeing that you actually did the damn thing, it was like no shit, but holy shit at the same time, you know? 100%. So I definitely feel like, that was my first impression. But then after like working with you, or when you were cramming all of those clients into just a couple weeks so we could move you down here, just dropping off coffee and like hearing your consult or hearing you interact with your clients, watching how you posted on social media, seeing how you text your clients, it was so relieving because you operated so similar to how I do behind the phone, behind the chair, in the studio with the client. So that was so refreshing to me, because as someone who has been in the industry for so long, I had previously been told by actually one of the salon owners that I worked at, you can't hold people to the same standard that you're at because not everybody works the same way you do. And I'm like, well, that's not fair though.
Right.
I shouldn't have to lower my standard or and this doesn't just go for people that you work with, people that you're in charge of at work, your relationships, your familial relation. This goes for everything. You should not have to lower your standard because somebody can't meet up to the bar that you're at.
Yeah, absolutely.
If they can't meet, my boy Leo Skippy says all the time, and I have a video of myself that actually popped up recently in my Snapchat memories of me recording myself like jaw dropping, because he was like, if someone's best still isn't good enough for you, leave them where they're at. So it was so refreshing to see that you operated the same way I did, and I didn't have to be like, oh, maybe my standards are too high here, because that's something that's been ingrained into me, not just from my work that I always provide and being told that by previous salon owners and managers and stuff like that, but also in my previous relationships.
Oh, 100%.
Being told you're looking for too much. Yeah, you're asking too much of me. I'm never going to be what you want me to be. Well, that's fine. But then we need to go two separate ways, because that's not fair of me to be like, I expect this, I need this, I want this, and somebody to come back at me and be like, and to not even try, to not even want to try when, yeah, the bar is a little high, but like, don't you want to do better?
But the bar is high for who, though, right? Because if you can meet that expectation, clearly it's not an impossible standard, right? And like,
and that kind of circles back, right, to, not to cut you off, but that kind of circles back to, if you provide the whole fucking dinner table and the whole meal, and somebody's like, all I can bring is napkins and one measly dinner roll, I don't want you to have a seat at my fucking table.
Right. And, you know, that also goes into, I feel like, you know, with partnerships, right? Not just business, but personal partnerships and relationships, right? If someone is saying like, oh, this is the best that I can do, this is all that I can offer, believe them. Okay, because like at that point, stop investing and stop trying to change them, because then that goes into the control aspect of it. Now you're trying to control and change that other person,
and that's where it's going to turn into, you're always criticizing me, I can never
Yes.
do good enough for you. And I think that, like, we have bad days personally because we struggle with mental health, which is a podcast episode we'll do later. But it is okay for you to show up and only be able to give 10%, 20%, 0%. And I will pick up for a day, 2, 3 days. But that should not be our regular.
Right.
Regularly, we should both be able to pull up 100% and provide 100%, meeting 50-50 in the middle. If I have to pick up a little bit of slack for a few days or a lot of slack for a couple days because you're struggling or I'm struggling and you have to do the same, that's okay. That is what a relationship is about. That is what supporting your partner looks like. But doing it all the time, you're going to exhaust yourself.
Supporting your partner and taking care of your partner are two very different things.
Clock
right?
it,
Yes.
clock it.
Because supporting your partner is exactly what that is, right? Is being able to show up and to pick up a little more of that slack. But if you're completely taking care of your partner, that might be a conversation that you have to have. And like I said, if they're saying, this is my best, this is all I have to offer, believe it. And you have to just kind of take that and move on and do what's best for yourself at that point. Because if your partner is saying, this is the best I can do and I'm not going to change, that is what it is, man.
100%. Let's kind of circle back to the points that we wanted to talk about in regards to... we kind of touched base on like the differences between partner mode and work mode, how we deal with conflicts. We put that we should touch on respect. And I feel like that is like the title of this episode is respect your damn partner.
Yes.
But the one thing I feel like we didn't really touch on is which we touched a little bit, but for us, what works the best, I feel like, to keep us from feeling that burnout specifically is we do not talk business in the bedroom. And I'm not talking during spicy time. I'm talking if we are in the bedroom getting dressed for the day, if we are decompressing, drinking tea, watching a cute little movie or a scary movie, because Frankie's a creepy little weirdo.
Yeah, peep my shirt for horror movies.
If we are literally anything, if we're in the bedroom and we're cleaning,
yes,
the bedroom is the safe space where we do not talk about work. Okay. And if we're with our friends, we don't talk about work because one, our friends don't give a shit. Our friends are bored. Okay. Two, it's just low key. It's disrespectful to the people around you to be consistently talking about business when that's not what we're hanging out together to do.
Well,
you know what I
I
mean?
feel like too, we also are very careful with who we invite in those conversations with business, because that's a conversation that is as intimate as the bedroom, right? Because that's something that is just between us, and we don't need to have 5 million people giving their opinion.
I don't give a damn about your opinion personally. If I didn't personally, if I didn't ask for your opinion, I don't want it. I have so many friends, family, whatever the deal is, whatever our relationship is, that try and give advice when it comes to my business, my lifestyle, my hair color, for God's sake, whatever it is. And if I didn't ask your opinion, I really don't care. And if you give me unsolicited advice, I am way less likely to come to you when I really am looking for advice, because unsolicited advice is usually negative advice.
Yes.
Because I didn't ask for it, and you think that your opinion is better than what I've already got going. So I feel like that is very true, and that is a very, very good thing to bring up. Be mindful of who not only you talk to about your relationship, but who you talk to about your business and who you talk to about your business partnership.
Yes.
Those decisions that need to be made regarding the color of the studio, the new location of the studio, the new service you're adding on, a price increase, whatever it is, that needs to be done between you and your business partner. If you and your business partner are friends or your random acquaintances that decided you work together, and your partner, your husbands, your wives, your spouses are outside of the business, maybe asking their opinion, but taking it with a grain of salt, because it's still your business that doesn't they're not in the business. If they wanted to be in the business, that's a conversation to have had at a different time.
Also, don't take advice on how to get a Ferrari from someone who drives a minivan. So keep that in mind too.
100%. The only other thing that we have on here that we haven't talked about, which is perfect before we get into some of our fun little goofy stuff to wrap up our seriousness, is who does what parts of the business better. Clearly, you do tattoos better than I would ever do tattoos. Clearly, I do lash extensions better than you do. But when it comes to the behind the scenes stuff, what do you do better? What do I do better? What do we both feel like we kind of suck at?
Well, right off the rip, you are definitely more type A. So I feel like anything that has to do with organization.
I'm type A plus.
Oh, dude, A plus plus, extra credit. Okay, like for real. So I feel like things that involve kind of the more meticulous aspects of the business. You know what I mean, such as scheduling or paperwork or things like. Well, I suppose I do my own scheduling, but you know, as far as like.
But sometimes I feel like I even have to like tell you like, babe, that's not gonna work. We have dinner at this time.
Oh,
or
dude,
like,
yeah.
Babe,
real.
remember you said you have a client at this day, this time, like whatever, and having to just kind of remember, honey.
Yeah. So I feel like for type A things, such as like the more behind the scenes things, I feel like you're definitely better at. I would say that I'm a little bit more on the creative side as far as like innovative ideas and different things on maybe what we can do to expand the business. I'm definitely more of a creative soul, which is what I feel like part of why we work so well together, right? Because we're literally two halves of the same brain. You know what I mean?
100%. I definitely agree. I feel like we both dislike social media, but we kind of motivate each other to do social media by sending each other like, oh, this would be a funny sound, this is a funny reel, this is a funny trend, oh my gosh, we should do this one together. So we kind of do that together. And then it's like, if you see that I recorded content and I'm editing content, you will turn around and you will make content and edit content. So we're both very good about like keeping each other in check. In that aspect, I definitely feel like, because again, we kind of operate like, yes, we own this together, but you as Frankie Ray Tattoos and me as Wicked Beauty kind of still operate like separately but together.
Yeah.
You know? So
sure.
like, it's not like I'm constantly doing inventory, because the inventory I do is for my services and the inventory you do is for yours. But still, same thing. Like, if I see that you have a list sitting out of your inventory things, I'll be like, oh shit, I got to do inventory too.
Yeah.
And then we'll both place orders around within the same days. We usually come in with a shit ton of inventory at the same time, you know?
For real.
I definitely feel like, as far as like talking to other businesses, I take the lead on.
Yes.
I definitely deal with like our rug people. I definitely deal with like the bill paying aspect, and then you just hand me money. I definitely will set up like the collabs and the events that we host here. I will communicate and do all the things. I just have to tell you what time and day to block in your calendar and tell you what you're doing at the event.
Yeah. And I feel like even things that we're doing that are like for Wicked that maybe don't revolve around tattooing, you know, such as like the permanent jewelry pop-ups that we do at different events. I feel like I'm really good at like reading people and talking to people and kind of like getting them interested in permanent jewelry. Because that one event that we did, you know, I would read people right off the riff and be like, oh, hi, you seem
You're
to like
really
this,
good
this,
at like
this.
selling something to someone, where I'm very good at like relating to someone and like being someone's friend and like kikiing and being a girl's girl with someone. Even if they're a boy, I'll be like, hey girl, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I'm really good at like, because that's what I do like for a living, is I literally interact with the person, because it's me and this person talking for like 2 hours. You're with somebody for 6-8 hour days, multiple days. You guys both got your headphones in, someone's watching TV, you're tattooing, like there's much more. You're selling a piece of art, where I'm kind of selling my personality with the piece of art, you know? So absolutely. I feel like, yes, you are very good at like getting someone in and getting them to like look at what we even have, versus I can then be like, hey girl, like let's talk about your kids, let's talk about your hubby, your animals, you know? So I feel like that's definitely like where, again, we kind of mix together really, really well. Do you want to do our rapid fire?
Yeah, let's do our rapid fire.
Okay, so we're going to just start getting into some fun
little
stuff before we start to let you guys go. For our rapid fire, who's more likely to, we've got a couple of them over here. Who's more likely to, the first one is overbook.
You, 100%.
I mean, yes and no.
Yes and
like,
no, girl. Yes, you work like 10-hour days. What are you
yes, right
about?
now, but like I feel like when you, because keep in mind, your business has been open here for 4 months. That's when you start taking clients on a regular, much more consistent basis, you will be doing the exact same thing. So currently, in this moment, yes, it's me.
I suppose I'm more likely to work on days off. I'm definitely the one who's going to, like, overbook in that aspect of, like, if someone's like, can you squeeze me in? And I'm like, yeah, I can. You know, so I'm more likely to overbook in that aspect.
I won't squeeze you in. I will, if it's my day that I'm working and I have to stay 30 minutes late because I have 45 minutes open in my day, but putting you at the end of my day keeps me here by 30 minutes, yes, I will overbook myself in that concept. But my Monday and my Tuesday are my freaking days because absolutely not. Wednesdays are also supposed to be one of my days off, but every now and then I work a Wednesday. I work a lot of Wednesdays. Okay, rapid fire number 2. Who's more likely to forget something?
Me.
You. Physical items.
Oh my god.
Scheduling.
You guys know how many times we'll leave the house to go fishing or something and I won't have my keys or my phone.
You never have your phone. You literally never have your phone. Yesterday we got home from running errands for hours and this girl is like, I can't find my phone. I haven't been able to find my phone. And I look on Live 360 and it's like, your phone it says Frankie has been home for 1 day and 3 hours. And I'm like, well, your phone has not left the house since yesterday at 4:30. So.
Yep, I am very forgetful when it comes to my personal life, so definitely.
This next one kind of goes hand in hand with the first one. Who's more likely to stay late? I feel like I'm more likely to stay late. You will be like, clean up, running out the door. I'm like, okay, well now I should do my books for the day. I should make sure everything's organized. Do I need to add anything to my inventory list from the day?
Yeah,
I need to water my plants. Like,
I'll
be here for like an hour after my last client because I'm just trying to make sure that everything is like the way that it needs to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I feel like if you get tattooed by me, you get 150% of my undivided attention for your tattoo because it needs to be perfect. There's no takesies backsies, right? So like it has to be perfect. So my attention is 100% for the full 6-hour day. So by the end of the fucking day, my brain's goop. I'm mashed potatoes. I don't want to do anything else. I'm like, okay, I'm done. I need to stare at a fucking wall. You know what I mean?
And I feel like after talking to people for like 8 to 10 hours, like I've shown you my schedule before. Like that's a lot of people to talk to when I'm only taking people for 45 minutes, an hour, or 2 hours for their services. That's a lot of people to cram into a day. And mind you, a full set is 2 hours. So like I very rarely have a 2-hour long client, but like that's a lot of people to see in a day. So by the end of the day, for me to be like, let me water my plants and check my inventory list. I'm like, this is like decompressing for me. This is me like being able to like, and just be with myself and be with just me for a moment, you know? Okay, who's more likely to keep the calendar? Friggin' me, okay? Because this girl, back to forgetting something, will forget the hell out of everything. Okay?
Girl, for real, my mother is coming to visit, and you know how many times I've asked her when my mom is gonna come? It's been quite a bit. Even though it's in my calendar, I'm like, are you sure this is right? Are you sure this is...
I'm literally like, today's Tuesday, and I'm like, your mom comes to town on Saturday. We'll hang out we'll see her on Sunday because we both work a full day Saturday. She'll want to get settled in, whatever. And she's like this Saturday? Like, I'm like, yes, this Saturday. Like, no, next Saturday, but I said Saturday. Who's more likely to come up with the next big idea?
Me. I feel like I like to come up with all these different crazy ideas. My ideas sometimes are a little too extravagant, I feel like, though, because I go from 0 to 150 in 2 seconds flat.
I feel like I will, like, theoretically be like, oh, this would be a good idea. And then you're like, so fuck it, let's do it.
Yeah, definitely.
So I feel like we both can, like, see something or be inspired by something, but you will so quickly be like, fuck it, we're going to do it. And then it's kind of like both of us. Because, again, I feel like we are such a good partnership that, like, okay, let's sit down. Like, we have stopped. We've gotten to Walmart. parked and sat in the car in the parking lot for 15 minutes talking about our next 3-year plan.
Literally.
Because we, like, had an idea on the way to Walmart of, like, this thing. Mm-hmm. So, like, I feel like it starts out, whether you or I saw something, got inspired, you are quick to, like, manically be like, let's fucking do it. Yeah. And then I'll be like, okay, cool. Let's bring it back.
Yeah.
And how do we do this realistically or kind of bring you back down to earth, and then we go from there. Yeah. Which is crazy, because when I owned this business with Taylor would have hands down easily said, I was the one who always had the next crazy manic big idea. So the fact that you and I can be like, we kind of both like, but you definitely will be like, let's pouring gasoline on the fire.
Oh, I hit the ground running and I just go.
100%. Which is crazy, because at the beginning of the year, I was like, I have so many things that I'm going to do for Wicked Beauty and for myself and for my personal life in 2026. And I even posted that when I did a wrapped 2025 for Wicked Beauty. I was like, I'm going to do so much more in 2026. You guys aren't even going to believe it. And then it's literally like 2 weeks later, you were moving in, and now we have so many more things that we're doing in 2026 than I even originally planned. And I thought I was crazy. So your crazy meets my crazy and almost doubles it, I swear. Who's more likely to go manic and redesign the whole studio?
100% her. 100%. 100%. Okay. What do you mean you went manic and dyed your fucking hair?
Literally last night. Literally yesterday, I had half neon pink, half white, and then I now have like a neon pink, like magenta split dye going on. Okay, but here's the frickin' deal. You go manic and you want to jump off the cliff. I go manic and want to, like, build a house on the side of the cliff. There's 2 different kinds of mania happening here, okay? Like, it's just because I want to redesign the studio doesn't mean that we're not both a little manic.
We are both very manic.
Who is more likely to buy a new plant?
You. Are you kidding me? I kill every plant. My plants are fake. They're plastic. If you go in my room and see my plants, they're plastic. I don't do plants. I kill it.
I knew that was going to be a me, but I had to throw one in there that I knew was going to be easy. Who is more likely to forget to eat?
I feel personally victimized by Regina George.
Yeah, it is always Frankie. I learned many, many lash conferences ago, many, many years ago, you cannot work for 10 hours a day without eating or taking even just a 30-minute break to eat a granola bar for yourself. That is the way that the industry had been for 10 years, and we're not doing that anymore. Well, much like a relationship, you need to take care of yourself first.
And I feel like even in the tattoo community, I mean, there's jokes that you'll see, like memes that you'll see on Instagram and stuff. It's like eating lunch as a tattoo artist and you're shoveling in as fast as you can.
And there's literally the same thing in the industry here, where I literally just saw one of this girl who was like, you never have time for yourself because you're a lash artist. And she's like hunched down in the back room eating a can of sardines as fast as she possibly can. And that's it, because you have 2 minutes between clients. And that's really how it was for so long. And when I say in the industry, I kind of umbrella you guys into the beauty industry, because it kind of is. Like, I feel like anything that's body mod is very, or like med spa, hair, skin, nails, it's all kind of the same. It all kind of falls under that same umbrella. Absolutely. And I feel like all of us have definitely been trained until recently, like recently being like last year, that's not how we're going to operate. We need to make time for ourselves. So I will give myself a 30 or a 45-minute break just to eat and like breathe and doom scroll and like come back to it. Because really, if you don't, you're not taking care of yourself. That next relationship that's going to fail because you didn't take care of yourself in a work day is your relationship with your client. It might not be your noon client, but it might be your 8 p.m. client. So you are definitely the worst at forgetting to eat. But you've gotten better.
I have gotten better. I feel like, though, that goes hand in hand with the amount of focus that goes into being a tattoo artist, because if I'm being completely honest, when I'm in that flow space and I'm going at that tattoo, you know what I mean? It's really easy to lose track of time, to lose track of my body awareness, to even lose track of the fact that I'm tattooing a human and that my client might have to take go to the bathroom, then take a bathroom break, you know what I mean? Because there's times where, like, I'm just in my zone and my client will say something and it'll fucking startle me and I'm like, oh, hey, where'd you come from?
She is getting better, because not only do we keep snacks on deck in the studio, so she'll at least have a little snacky snack, but also seeing me take lunch breaks and we meal prep. She's getting better about eating when she's at work. Who is more likely to get annoyed with a client? I feel like both of us, but I am more likely to get annoyed with your clients for you than even my own clients, because I've known my clients for so long that it takes a lot for my client to drive me nuts or grind my gears. Your clients, however, I will be like, oh my God, I can't believe that happened. I can't believe they spoke to you that way. I can't believe they didn't do this. I can't believe they didn't tip, whatever it is. Yeah. And you'll be like, well, it is what it is. It's the industry. I'm just building clients, man. I don't care. Like, very like Cheech and Chong. You're over here like, whatever, Cheech and Chong. And I'm just like.
For the record, I'm sober.
Well, yeah. But like, I will be like full on like protective wifey mama bear. And I'm like, I can't believe that. And she's just like, whatever, man. And I'm like,
I feel like, you know, in the tattoo industry, you have to have a really high bullshit tolerance, because I see people of all walks of life.
Oh yeah, you know? Oh yeah, and that's where I can see like a difference, because which granted they're both luxury services, but I feel like tattoos don't get treated as such by the clientele all the time. Where with lash extensions, like, it does, right? Because people are probably getting their hair done, their nails done, their toes done. They're getting a whole lot of other services before they choose to get lash extensions. Yeah. You know what I mean? They have a membership at the tanning salon before they come and decide that they want to get lash extensions. I feel like we're kind of like up there for a luxury, like a service that you're getting on a regular basis. Because that's another thing with tattoos. They could get a tattoo, and then they don't necessarily have to come back. It's not a maintenance thing.
Right.
So I feel like
you only got so much skin. You know?
I feel like even the clients that I have that like I'm like make my eye twitch a little bit, it's just like, it's not over how they necessarily treat me or respect me. It's more so a me issue if I haven't ate for the day, you know? So again, back to eat and take care of yourself, treat yourself right. Who's more likely to overthink their work? Frankie Ray DiCarlo.
Yes.
Because literally she just did the sickest tattoo the other day. Client loved it. I was in the back lashing, and I heard her show the design to the client, and the client literally gasped. I was calling my friends, showing my clients the design before her client even came in. Client leaves, tells her she loves it, texts her, tells her she loves it, sends all these pictures of it, and she's literally...
And the second that the client leaves, I'm staring at it, and I'm like, I love it. I don't like it anymore. And that's the way that it is with painting, too. And I think any artist who's watching can relate, because literally it's like you stare at your art for too long, and then you start fucking nitpicking, right? And it goes with that drive to always be better and to always strive for perfection, 100%. Especially in the tattooing world. But with that, you know, also comes... Like I said, that self-validation, and that, no, you did do a good job. There's always going to be room for improvement, even for the biggest cats in the industry who are on Ink Master. There's always going to be something that you can scrutinize. There's always going to be something that's cleaner. But you can't let it completely warp, your successes.
I feel like that's how it is in any industry, right? Where you're going to, if you think that you don't have room for improvement, I don't want to be your friend. I don't want to be around someone who thinks they're the best of the best, because I have been in the room learning from people who think they're the best of the best and they don't need to learn anything else. And oftentimes they're spewing false information because they haven't even updated their education in years. Well, so yeah. I like to be in a room with someone who wants to not only teach me what they know, but ask what I know.
Well, and even in the tattoo community, I feel like some of these, old dogs who don't want to, get up to speed with changing their machine or their technique or their whatever, their portfolio speaks to that. You know what I mean? Because, like, if you don't want to improve, or if you think that you know everything, chances are your portfolio is going to look like shit.
Yeah. Who's more likely to be in an I'm in a mood attitude?
That would be you, my love.
Maybe towards you. My clients never notice.
No, your clients never notice, but I do think that you get a little stimulated sometimes. And I'm very much a touchy-feely, so... when she gets overstimulated and I'm like, hi, let me love you. She's like, oh my God, just give me fucking 5 minutes.
I'm very much also like outwardly expressive. And if that means I'm outwardly expressing that I'm not in the mood versus you, who is very like, if you're anxious, angry, upset, whatever the emotion is, aside from happy and chattery, you are quiet.
Yep, so I'm a turtle. I go in my shell.
100%. So that's where, like, I feel like we both are moody little individuals.
Yes.
But mine is more outwardly expressive than yours is. So that's where people can also tell that, like, I'm in a mood.
Well, you're an extrovert and I'm an introvert. So anything times happen, you outwardly express it. And
100%.
I'm just like, I'm just going to hide over here.
100%. Okay, well, rapid fire is done. Describe your partner as a client.
So I have tattooed Becca, quite a few times. And she, as much as I joke, is a horrible client. She's not. She's actually one of the best clients because she is go with the flow. She literally doesn't care. I show her the design and she's like, yeah, whatever. She glances at it. She's like, cool, whatever. Yeah, let's do it. I do like to mess with her a little bit, so I feel like it's not so much that anything to do with her being a client as I am a service provider, because I turn on the asshole. I immediately start fucking with her the second that she's in my chair.
Yeah, I like to say that I'm a good client, so...
Yes, you're a very good tattoo
I think if
client.
you think that I'm not a good client...
No,
you should probably consider what the fuck you're doing. Because I don't give a shit. When I used to go... I do my own nails now. Don't judge them right now. I literally didn't give a shit. Like, I would come in and be like, freestyle it, because I don't care. You know what I mean? Even when I go and get a tattoo, or I come in and get a tattoo from you, I don't care. I don't care about... My hair was supposed to be the same color, but... I accidentally let this sit on for like an hour and a half instead of the 30 minutes that it recommends. And this was platinum blonde, where when we colored this, it was like a dirty blonde. So this took more than this, blah, blah, blah. I don't even care that they're not the same. They're barely different. I don't care. It's cute. It's fine. I literally could give a shit less. I don't care about anything as a client. However.
How am I as a client for you?
Horrible. I have a video of, she asked me to wax her nose, and it took 3 fucking minutes because Frankie was freaking out because I was gonna have to pull it, and she was freaking out. She wants me to give her like these crazy colorful artistic lashes so bad.
I like them in theory.
I tinted her lashes once and she had like a stroke in the chair. My best friend had to hold her hand. Okay. I washed her lashes once just to, like, show her what the beginning process is. This is after I tinted her lashes because she's been on this trip that she wants lash extensions so bad.
I do.
And so I was like, I'll show you how it starts. And I washed her lashes. She lost it. I tried to tape her up, and she was like this the whole time.
Listen, I got a touch of the tism, so having some shit all up in my fucking eyes, it's just like, oh my god.
And she's like, please do my lash. No.
No. I'm not a good lash client.
No. But somehow can, like, sit like a rock when she gets a whole inner arm panel tattooed and saturated with color.
Listen, okay? Pain is different than having some fucking pokey shit all up in your eyeballs, okay?
But you were a good client when I did your hair because you almost fell asleep. But then when I went to go do her fucking nails, I went to go put the Dremel on her nail, and she was like, I feel like a dog who just got touched with the nail drill.
I will never judge a puppy who goes to the fucking nail salon ever again when they're like, I get it, and I feel bad for you.
Yeah, she hated, and then she wound up ripping all of the gel polish off after I did it.
I can't do it.
And she was like, it hurts so bad, it ruined my nails. I'm like, yeah, you're not supposed to rip it off. So, like, Frankie's a good client when Frankie wants to be a good client.
I'm a good client for tattoos. Just, I get overstimulated with...
Our final fun little thing that we have is, what do you love the most about working with the other person?
I love how much it's strengthened our relationship. I really do, because I feel like every challenge, every conversation even that we have, even the podcast that we do, you know, I feel like it just...
We were like, this is going to be a 30-minute podcast. It's going to be an hour and a half.
Yeah. So that's what I really love, is I love collaborating with you on projects, because it feels like I feel closer to you when we're able to do that, and every single thing that we do together gives me a new level of respect for you, if I'm being completely honest, because, like, seeing you in your element, seeing how much you've grown, and seeing your ability to grow and, you know, work with me and work on a goal together, that's my favorite thing about, you know, owning this business with you, is just seeing how much, you know, we and you individually have grown, and, you know, how much potential we both have.
Yeah, I didn't want you to talk first because I knew you were going to say way better things than I did.
Sorry.
Because I agree with all of that. I feel like we definitely, like, it has strengthened our relationship, and it has, again, it gives us a whole, we have we already have so much shit to talk about, but then this just adds to it, especially as far as like goals and ideas for our life and where we want our life to go. We've both always felt internally that we were destined for a sense of greatness, and I feel like when we put that together, especially here and in our personal life as well, I can just see and feel so deep in my heart of hearts that we are going to just freaking thrive, especially with the other things we have going on the back burner right now. And I wouldn't necessarily say like it gives me a newfound respect for you. I think it just strengthens the respect that I already had for you. And being able to say that I work with my wife. I have clients that like, they know that I have introduced a tattoo artist into the business, but then when I'm like, yeah, my wife, they're like, holy shit, that's so cool. So I think that is such a flex as well, to say that like we work together and we just fit so well together. Like there are so many people wouldn't even be able to own a business with their best friend or their family member, let alone with their life partner. And so I feel like that is just so badass that we can do that. So I love the way that you work. I love the way you communicate with your clients. And I love the way that we operate together.
Soulmate energy.
Yeah. I don't really have a favorite thing because I love all of it. Like I just love being able to say that like my wife and I own a business together. It's just such a badass little thing. So, if you guys want a part 2, because I feel like we were kind of all over the place. Keep in mind, this is our first episode, so we're working some shit out. Okay. This will probably be one of the longest episodes we do just because we're talkers. We're ramblers. Honestly, they're all probably going to be a little long, but like this will probably be one of the longer ones because we have so much we had to introduce ourselves. And
give the backstory.
There's a lot to talk about when you talk about not only being in a relationship, how we met, how we operate, but how we operate as business partners, and also trying to give you guys a little bit of advice. So if you guys feel like there's anything we didn't touch on, there's more that you want us to touch on, we can happily do a part 2.
Leave your comments below on things that you want us to talk about, especially with relationships and how to best collaborate with life.
Even just business shit. If you want to know how to get your business started, you want to learn about how to do a tattoo apprenticeship under Frankie, you want to learn how to take a lash class with me, whatever that looks like, comment, reach out to us on social media, whatever that looks like. But I think we're gonna end it here for today, and we'll catch you guys in a week.
Thanks for joining us. We hope you enjoyed our first little podcast here. So we'll catch you next week for our second episode, which is going to be on mental illness and owning a business. So that's going to be very interesting. So stay tuned.
Okay, see you later, baddies.
Adios, muchachos.
Bye.